Yes, so this room is the track number 2, Smart and Sustainable Cities. I would like to introduce you Dr. Supachai Tantikom, Chief Resilience Officer of Bangkok Metropolitan Authority. This session will take for an hour and then followed by 15 minutes Q&A. So please keep your question at the end and we'll get back to you again. So now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Supachai, please.
Good afternoon. Hello. Can you hear? Right. Okay. So, cities are the backbone of the societies, as you know, and they support our daily human activities, need and aspiration. They play a major role in supporting city and economies. It is estimated that 66% of the world population will be living in the city in the next decade, thus putting a strain on the infrastructure system and population. As cities around the world are becoming more and more dense and populated, so they are at risk and vulnerable to extreme urban problems like traffic, flooding, solid waste and wastewater, air pollution, and slum. It will get worse with climate change, of course. So how can cities leverage from their economic, population, and knowledge resource to be a transformative force for countries? How can we future-proof our city to be resilient to change? How can we improve them to be more inclusive and community-oriented? How can the technology and data help towards sustainable, resilient, and social goals? So today, we are glad that we hear from our 3 distinguished speakers from various organizations who take part in the contribution to the development of smart, sustainable, and resilient cities, and to share their experience and successful implementation of solutions, initiatives, and projects in the smart, sustainable, and resilient city. So our first speaker is Dr. Pasakon Pratombut. So Dr. Pasakon Pratombut graduated the interdisciplinary PhD program in software architecture and computer networking from the University of Missouri, Kansas City. After graduate, he served as a researcher at National Electronics and Computer Technology Center. In 2010, he moved to National Science and Technology Development Agency to serve as the Director of the Service and Data Innovation Program. He was also the co-founder of Thai Intelligent Traffic Information Center Foundation and the CCTV Consortium. At present, Dr. Pasakon is the Senior Executive Vice President of Digital Economy Promotion Agency, or we call DIPA, to drive mega projects, including the Smart City Project and the IoT Institute. For international position, he is the Editor-in-Chief of the International Journal of Intelligent Transportation System Research, Springer. Our next speaker, let's introduce. Mr. Suwat Mimuk, I'm sorry. After earning his bachelor degree in civil engineering from Chulalongkorn University, Mr. Suwat started his very first career in the field of computer with a company specialized in system integrator, which is a subsidiary of CDG Group. He then pursued his Master of Business Administration from Mississippi College, USA, and worked at Microsoft Corporation for 12 years. He subsequently became Vice President for Bangkok Bank Public Company Limited in Thailand, responsible for new project and digital transformation. Afterward, he worked as a general manager at G-Able, system integrator company, and has accumulated proficient affiliate experience from working with Thailand leading financial institutions, particularly on banking solution technology field. In 2016, he was also appointed as an Executive Vice President at King Power International Group to lead digital business development sector. Mr. Suwat has served as Executive Vice President of Bangchak Initiative and Innovation Center, Bangchak Corporation Public Company Limited since 2018. And our last speaker, this is only the lady on the floor. Ms. Lina currently acts as the Chief Investment Officer for Amata Corporation Public Company Limited and oversees smart city development, urban transformation, strategic investment, and merger and acquisition. She is the chairperson of Investment Committee for China Belt and Road Initiative for Greater Mekong Sub-region. She is also the chairperson and director of Amata Thai-Japanese Company Limited, the joint venture company for Hotel Nikko Chonburi Development, and director of Amata Global PG Limited in Singapore. Ms. Lina was honored as a young global leader by the World Economic Forum in March 2014 and nominated as a Global Agenda Council member of World Economic Forum. With more than 25 years of public policy and international investment, her experience has been tapped for developing key nationwide master plan and G2G collaboration platform. These include Singapore-Thailand Enhanced Economic Relationship, Singapore-Tianjin Eco-City FDI Promotion, Singapore-Guangzhou Knowledge City FDI Promotion, Singapore World Bank Infrastructure Collaboration, APEC E-Commerce Task Force, and Singapore Logistics Master Plan. So we begin with the presentation by Dr. Pasakon, and each presenter will have 5 minutes to present. Then after that, we will have a question for everybody. Please, Dr. Pasakon.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here. I don't have the slide presentations, just to introduce my experience in the smart city. You may know that I'm from the government, the Ministry of Digital Economy and Societies. We are the key driver the smart city. But smart city is why it's in the Ministry of Digital, because you know that the digital technology is coming and people expect the smartness is come from the digital technology. But actually, the smartness of the city should be from the any technologies, maybe from the urban design, even you have the bicycle lane, it should be smart enough. You don't need the high-tech, high-end. But anyway, because of the digital, it makes it fast, and it's a shortcut to become the smart. But actually, I feel that the smart is not the aim of the livings. We don't want to become smart. We want to become the livable city, sustainable, resilient city. But smart city is a very fashion word. And many cities want to become the smart cities. Even in ASEAN, we have the ASEAN Smart City Network. Amata also is one of the members of the ASEAN Smart City Network. And we have the framework initiated by Singapore. And today is 3 years now. And we have a lot of activity working together. Okay. Anyway, because of DIPA, my office, we are the key driver of the smart city. So we have to set the standardization. We have to set the mechanism, the strategy, how to drive. And luckily, the Prime Minister have established the Smart City Steering Committee, chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister Pawit. And today, any city in Thailand, if they want to become the smart city, they have to submit the proposal to me, to DIPA, not me, to DIPA. We have the criteria. If you pass the criteria, you get the support from the government. For example, the funding, the sandbox, regulatory sandbox opportunities, the tax incentive. If you are the private sector, you can get the tax exemption. If you get the service in that area. So this is the mechanism that we have to drive the city. And today there are more than 40 cities that have already submitted the proposal to us. Our objective is 100 cities in next 2 years, but not to become the smart city, but to initiate, just to get started with good plan or good proposal. So it's our key driver and key function to drive smart city. So it's a short introduction.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Can we have a
next.
slide, please?
Mr. Suvat, please.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. This is very important. So for Bangchak, I hope that you are our part of customer. If you in Thailand, so if you go to fill the gas, please go to Bangchak. And if you go to drink a cup of coffee, go to our Interning Coffee. I will tell you more about why it's important, because we do more sustainability, and everything that we do, we care about customer, we care about our world, right? Not yet coming. Still in the problem, but let me introduce this. Bangchak 35 years ago when we started the company, it's the state-owned company. Start with the military part of the government, and then when we changed from the military refinery to the state-owned enterprise, that 35 years ago, our first CEO said that, at that time we have the problem with the financial, with many things. Then we go to the why is Bangchak, why Bangchak have to be the company that exit from that until now. The CEO and the government want us to be different, want us to be sustainability company, not just the oil company. So our vision, you will see that we have the sustainability in this from the start 35 years ago. And what we do is we need to do innovation all the way. So that's what we call evolving innovation, and not just innovation. We call that evolving green innovation. That's not just innovation, have to be green too, and I will tell you more why this green is more important to us, to the world. So this is our mission. This is called our core value. We have changed this 5 years ago. Innovation have to be number one, and the agility and mobility have to be very first. Then we do more on the sustainability after that, because of innovation going to be the first one that we change, and then we do that with evolving innovation. So we have 5 businesses. That's why I say that the CEO from the start, the governments from the start wanted us to be different, but we start with the petroleum, which is not very sustainable, not very green, right? Everyone says that it's part of the bad guy. That's the first one. But after we have this company, help the Thailand sustain the energy side, have to sustain first. Then we see that we have to be, like I said, that more green. So we pledge that in the next 5 years, our green business gonna be 50% of our business, our EBITDA. So that is the third company, which is it's called BCPG, the part of the company that do everything about solar, wind, and water, the dam side. So everything about the renewable energy, not only in Thailand, in Japan, in Philippines, Indonesia. Now we just invest in Laos in the hydro power. So that part of business is growing. That part of the green energy is growing. And the fourth part, which is more important in Thailand and probably in the world too, is part of the bio-based business. We know that everything that we do, we need to eat. Everything that we do, we need to use that as the part of fabric and everything. we can produce all of those from the agriculture, use the synthetic bio. This is going to be the company of the future that we're looking for. Part of this is going to be what I said, it's 50% of green business by next 5 years as of the Bangja pledge to do, right? And bigger than that, bigger goal is next 10 years, we pledge that we hope to be carbon neutral. After we reach the 50% goal 5 years, then the carbon neutral going to be our goal, neutral by 2030. So this is that's why I hope that you will support the company that pledge for green, pledge for the neutral carbon by 2030. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Khun Suwat. Next, Ms. Lina will present.
While waiting for my slide, I think everyone looks very excited, and I think you're full of energy. You know, I really like the energy, especially among the participants. So let me just, because this is not a smart chair, because if not, you can adjust according to my height. I'm slightly short. So just a very quick overview, right? I cover the investment. I think just now I didn't thank you for Dr. Supachai mentioned about my CV, right? So you make you think that actually I'm already quite senior, right? Because having worked in ASEAN and international market for over 25 years. In the past, I always put 25, you know, or close to 25. Now it's over, slightly over already. Okay, so for those who are golfer, right? I'm sure you have visited our Amata Spring Golf Course. Right, I'm not going to offer you any discount, but membership do have some discount. You know, I can give you 10% off the membership. Okay, since he sell coffee, I will visit your internet coffee. So if you look at this 17 hole, right, what is so unique about this, because it's a floating green, right? I'm not trying to promote the golf course, but I'm trying to tell you that all my balls are actually inside the water. Okay, but renewable energy, sustainability. Why is a golf course right in the middle of an industrial estate, or at least for us that we are doing now in terms of Amata Smart City? It is because in order to have a sustainable city, you need to have people that are willing to stay and live and work there, right? So our valued partner, I think Ibrahim is here, right, from Sodexo. He has been living and working, and he looked good, you know, because I think he has been on the golf course for a while. Huh? So if you look at what actually we are working on, right? If you talk about sustainability, if you talk about green, right? In the industrial city, when we first started off almost 30 over years ago, you will see that the basic criteria of a city, right, which is found in Mata. Because right now in the city itself, we have close to about 300,000 of working population. I think the whole estate itself with the factory contribute to 11% of the Thailand GDP. 52 billion US dollars. So it's a lot of people that is working and generating the output. So in a city itself, the most important, right, I think this week, right, you will see that actually not big, a few weeks already has been raining, right? So the thing about water is you can't live with it, you can't do without it, right? So if there is too much water, you will be worried about flooding. If it's too little water, you will be drought. So in this situation for water recycling, actually we have use about 100% water recycled. That means it is zero waste discharge as well. So the demand in terms of the demand of water from the factories, right, every year will be close to about 45 million cubic meters of water. That's a lot of water. But thank God our founder, Kumvikrom, he has the vision, right? So we have huge reservoir, I think close to about 56 million cubic meters of water that is in our reservoir. So what do we do when it comes to the really environmental protection, right? And the target is 100, and we reach also 100. So when we look into the source, right, we have the natural source, the rain, the reservoir, plus the water treatment, and then the water storage. So if you look at all this, it's 100% water that is recycled, right? 53% back to the reclamation process. And then 19% that we will service in terms of the green, the golf course, power plant for cooling, 28%. So all this is through the good effort of our team, right, which is Amata Water team that is based in Chumuri. So if you look at just in terms of waste, right? This is water, then this is waste. So waste, because when you have human or you have animals, because recently I adopted a cat, so when you have humans or living things, you have waste. So when you have waste, right, what exactly that you can look into waste? If you are careful enough, or if you really are focusing on sustainability, you would know that how do you use waste to your advantage? How do you convert waste into gold, right? Because some industrial waste, in fact, you can extract gold, right, from the industrial product itself. So this is what we have done so far. I think at least for 87.87%, right, close to about 90%, that is already converted into RDF. RDF actually means in terms of the reuse, right? Reuse future in terms of the material that is refuse derived fuel, right? That is the technical name of it, which means from waste you can derive into fuel. They will put into the block manner, and then you can use this to generate electricity. And then we have 12% recycling, and that gives us, in terms of landfill, right, less than 0.13%. So at least from an industrial city perspective, right, our contribution, or at least we don't contribute to the problem, that is the landfill. So that is a percentage of 0.13% only, which is rather low. So if you look at what other projects that we are focusing on, right, because of having our pledge or our vision towards a sustainable smart city, we really look at what are some of these characteristics. That's why we partner with a lot of the countries, including Sweden, including Yokohama, including Incheon. We look at what are these factors that we are looking at in order to achieve sustainable city. And one of the thing that we try on innovation, right, that we see maybe, actually our city itself or the factories, they have plastic. So how do you make use of the raw material, plastic, right, from the mixed plastic scrap, and with the asphalt, that means to actually create the road. If you use 100% asphalt, and I think there will be certain costs, but if you are able to use recycled plastic 10%, 90% asphalt, and then the road is still stable in the sense that, because there's some elasticity, they have done the testing. So now we have actually 2 stretch of road. This is near to the golf course. This is near to the side main road. So the pilot trial has already been conducted. I think to date, I think it is very successful. The trucks and everything is running on it. So this is one part whereby you can create a circular economy, whereby you create and use the plastic, and then you recycle it into what we really require, which is the road infrastructure. Yeah, these are the full picture. If you can take a look. Okay, and then also in terms of energy saving, what we have done, right? This is the Hotel Nico that we are in the middle of construction. I think it's already up to level 13. So when it is done next year, completed next year, right? I think at least in terms of the opening itself, I think there will be like sushi, sashimi, everything is here, convention, So look forward to something that is really different. They are using a lot on the they have already opened up for the bidding for the solar roof, right, which is here, and then also using in terms of some of the sensor for the lightings, and hopefully this area itself we can create a sustainable hotel or the retail environment so that we could contribute to our ambition of being a sustainable city. And also in terms of the smart street light, in the financial street, the vendors come to me and said, Lina, I would like to have a proof of concept, in your city. So what is it? They say street light. I said the best place to actually lead smart street light, right, will be in the financial street, because the bankers will be more alert, when it's lighted up, right, because of the lighting itself. So when we look at all this initiative, one of the very interesting one that we have done is also with the GGGI, which is Global Green Growth Institute. We have signed an MOU, and they have done a fantastic study to actually strengthen our green and smart vision, whereby we create the green space, we have the renewable and green building, green transportation, and most important of all, the key element is in order for you to actually involve or get participate in some of these projects, right? They look at, instead of being the gray infrastructure, which is all the concrete, they actually recommend solutions whereby you can have green infrastructure. So the green infrastructure can actually absorb the water better, and then also create the livable city which is within our Amata. So I think this should be my last slide already. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rina. It's amazing. So Amata City has done a lot of things in sustainable and will be resilient also. I mean, in terms besides sustainable, how about resilient?
In the case of resilient, what is the definition of being resilient? I think when it comes to resiliency, we have to look into the impact on environment. So let's say if there's drought, in Thailand, touch wood, right? And then for one whole year, there's no rain. And then production of factory would definitely have to shut, okay, if there's no water. So what we have done is because of the future proving, we have actually have enough water. Even if today it didn't rain, right, up to a year later, we still have enough water. So this is the part of having resiliency, which means that you can actually foresee some of these future challenges, but you take into concrete action or preemptive measures to provide that feasibility to your clients. So I think the part on water is being taken care. And then for energy itself, right, because we have our partner, Amata Bigrim. Bigrim is our partner, right, in all our power plant, which is using natural gas. So if there's any disruption with regards to the national grid, we have the Amata Bigrim to provide electricity. So in our key tenants, they need water, they need electricity. And then the third level of actually resiliency that we are currently working on is, if you look at a city must have smart people like yourself, right? In order to train smart people, the people must know that you don't create the waste, you don't contribute to pollution, or traffic congestion. So this is the part that we are building up in terms of the Amata Edu Town, to train people to be smarter, to train people to be more sustainable, and also hopefully more resilient. When your staff is resilient, the whole organization is resilient. So trust me, treat your staff better, your employee better. Don't make use of the COVID situation and say, yeah, I cut your pay, I do this. No, don't do that, In order to have a very, very good and engaged team, you need to really treat them well, trust them, So I thought this few parts of it, maybe an additional one that we are working on is in terms of the smart healthcare. That if we can provide, in terms of the healthcare facilities and looking into that resiliency because of the current situation of health crisis, I think this is the part of building up a more resilient city.
That's very nice. So let's back to the smart. Let me ask Dr. Pasakon. So I understand that in the National Smart City Steering Committee, so they have a plan to see Thai city rank top 10 within 2036, right? So can you share a little bit what is being done and what we have to do to reach that goal?
Okay. First, let me give you the definition of the city. You know that in Thailand, we have a lot of cities in the level of sub-district or municipalities. So we define the city that we're going to drive to become a smart city must have at least a population of 10,000 people. With this size, there are about 2,400 cities in Thailand. So should we drive on the 2,400 to become a smart city? So it would be a challenge job, but I think it's the way to go, because otherwise the city would be disrupted anyway, like another sectors. So the COVID is coming, so if we do nothing, it will be disrupted. In Singapore, they have only one city, so they become a smart nation, not a smart city. In Malaysia, I think they have about less than 20 cities. But in Thailand, you know that I said that 2,400. So that is different definition, different side of the cities. And we define that the city, smart city, have the 7 smart area. You may heard that Amata had the smart lighting, smart building, but we define the smart city into 7 areas. Smart environment. Every city must implement the smart environment, smart energy, smart economies, smart mobility, smart people, smart governance, and smart living. So every city have played the same the same rules. We support already 7 smart, and any city want to become a smart city, as I said, they have to submit the proposal because we need a good plan, good planning. In the proposal, there are 5 requirements. The number 1, the city have to define what they want to become, like a city of the economies, city of the agriculture, city of the tourists. So they have to set up their goals. They cannot be smart in every area. They have to select at least one area. And number 2, they have to submit the infrastructure, because government have to invest in the infrastructure. So they have to submit the plan for the infrastructure. The number 3, very important. Every sector driven by data today. So the city must have the city data platform. They have to set the data platform if you want to become the tourist city, you have to collect the data from the tourists, the hotel data, the logistics of the tourists. So anything that related to your goals. So the number 3 is about the city data. It's mandatory because data is the oil in this era. So we have to use the data to do the analytics, the data to do the planning, to do the policy. So it's the number 3. The number 4, they have to submit the solution. The solution, like a smart lighting, is the solution for the smart environment, smart bus for the smart mobility. So they have to submit the solution. That solution must be aligned with the number 1, the goals also. So this solution, when you submit the solution, it's already the plan. So the BOI, the Board of Investment, will give you the tax incentive for that services in that city if you pass our criteria. That's why you have to submit the solution, and I will pass it to the BOI to give the incentive only on the service that you submitted. The last one, the city have to submit the planning on the management, the investment, because it must be sustainable. Otherwise, they say that they're going to use the government tax to drive the city. Is it possible? But we have that they have to define how they get the income or earnings to make it sustain the cities. So they have to submit 5 requirements in the proposal to the committee, and if they pass, they get the incentive from the government. So this is the way, and we encourage on 2,400 cities to submit the proposal. And at the same time, we have the training class. We have the we try to train the it's like the manpower on the technical guys and the urban planning guys, because the urban planning and the technology is a different field. So we need to train the people that know both sides, the technology and the urban planning, and let this group of people go to the city and help them to develop the proposal to us. So I think that the manpower, the workforce is very important. We need the talent. We have to create the talents to help the city drive, because in the city, the mayor, they don't have the experience in the digital technology. They don't have the experience in the urban design. So we need some man in the middle to help them to energize them on the new technology, on the new urban design, to planning. So I think in this way, not only for the demand from the city size, but we also encourage the company, or even the foreign companies, to come to help the cities. So we have the proposal. Today we have 40 cities that have already submitted the proposal. That I have the requirements of them. I know what they want. So I can match the requirements to the private sectors. And then you can join and you can do the PPP, whatever, because you don't have to go to any city in Thailand. You can just come to the hub, to DIPA, my office, for example. So I can show you, I can match you between the demand and the supply. And we call up the policy. Once we match, and then you also get the incentive from the BOI. So it's the way that we try to guide the city. So today, the city mayor talking to the private sector, the local companies to develop the proposal and submit to us. So that means it's like we don't have to work out in any city, but because they start by their own. And I will talk to you later about the models of the Khon Kaen and Phuket. It have a very interesting model. I will talk to you, explain later.
Okay, you say 40 cities submit. That means that they all pass.
Not yet, because
how many
in the line.
How many has been, passing your requirement?
Frankly speaking, tomorrow we will have the judgment, and I can tell you that at least maybe it's 4 cities is the first candidate that maybe passed. It's very tough, but we encourage them to submit the proposal, but it has to be tough.
Can you mention the name now? Or?
Okay, I can mention the name, but it's just the candidate. The one of them is the Samyan Chulalongkorn. You know that Chulalongkorn, because Chulalongkorn even in the university, yes, because as I mentioned that the city is not a province. City is the size of 10,000 people. So Chulalongkorn is defined as a city. So they have the resident inside there and facility of the city. Another one is Nan. Nan is in the north of Thailand. It's a small one, but they submit a very good proposal. And the next one is Memo is in Lampang. Lampang is driven by the PEA, the power.
Province. ICAT.
ICAT, not PEA, ICAT. I'm sorry.
ICAT. Provide the electricity and sell to the MEA.
And because their mind is there, that's why they have to develop that area to become
a problem of the lignite and cause a lot of
that's why they have to care about the resilience, about the environment. That's why they submit the proposal to us. And the last one, Wangchan is in EEC. EECI is the city developed by PTT. It's a new city, new area. It's a green field. So they want to create the innovation district to support the EEC. We call it EECI. The I stands for innovation. So it's a new city, including the test bed of the autonomous vehicles, a lot of facility for the researcher.
And will the government will offer some funding beside the BOI benefit?
Once they pass, we will give them the benefit. BOI is one of them.
Yes.
Even the funding for the infrastructure.
Okay, that's great to hear that. At least we get four
cities.
Let me move to Kutsawat. It's very interesting about Bangchak.
Okay.
And Bangchak is moving to the renewable energy. And will Bangchak leave the petroleum?
We will have petroleum for as long as we have the ice, but it will be not growing. It's gonna be stay and down. Mm-hmm. That's what we see. Not gonna be growing. It's gonna be staying down.
And in your opinion, the energy cost, the renewable energy cost is high right now.
Yes.
And you compare with the petroleum. So Bangchak is investing at the moment.
Right.
So you start to sell now the renewable energy, or
we do actually in some country like in Japan. Okay. We invest in Japan in solar power plant, and because of government support on that, they have a little bit higher price on that. So the electric that generated from that can go back to the grid very easily with a little bit of margin on that, and it can compare to better than the oil on the fossil everything. So if the government help subsidy on that, I think it's gonna be bigger and bigger. And then because of technology, the greener side and the green energy will become dominant. I will believe in the next 10-20 years, solar gonna be number one. the other like a wind and something else on the green energy and renewable energy. Gonna be cheaper, much cheaper than today. But everyone have to help. I have some two sample and video to show. Can you switch to my video? So one is one of the project that we do in Thailand. We put many things together, try to test and try to show that we can do this. In Thailand is we call the project is Green Energy Community Management System. Is called in short is called GEMS. So we put solar power on top of the canopy of the gas station, and also we put the solar on the top of retail and put the solar on the car park. That's normal. I think many people doing that. But we put more. How can be the closed grid and the prosumer on that? Can you show the video now?
GEMS ระบบบริหารจัดการพลังงานชุมชนสีเขียวในสถานีบริการน้ำมันบางจากภายใต้แนวคิด Green Innovative Experience ผลิตไฟฟ้าจากพลังงานสะอาดและมีระบบจัดการไฟฟ้าให้คุ้มค่าสูงสุดมีการติดตั้งแผงโซล่าร์บนหลังคาสถานีบริการร้านสะดวกซื้อสภาและลานจอดรถรวม279กิโลวัตต์พร้อมระบบกักเก็บพลังงานแบตเตอรี่ลิเธียมไอออนขนาด1เมกะวัตต์ชั่วโมงหรือเทียบเท่าแบตเตอรี่สมาร์ทโฟนกว่า 100,000 เครื่องเพื่อจำหน่ายให้แต่ละอาคารทำให้สามารถใช้ไฟฟ้าในต้นทุนที่ต่ำลงโดยบริหารไฟฟ้าที่ผลิตได้ในตอนกลางคืนและอาจสูญเปล่าในช่วงตี 1 ถึงตี 4มากักเก็บไว้เพื่อนำมาใช้เป็นพลังงานไฟฟ้าในช่วงที่มีความต้องการสูงเช่นในตอนกลางวันทำให้มีการบริหารที่มีประสิทธิภาพขึ้นโดยไม่ต้องสร้างโรงไฟฟ้าเพิ่มและนำกำลังการผลิตที่เหลือมาเก็บไว้เหมือนกับการเก็บผลผลิตทางการเกษตรในหน้าน้ำมาบริโภคในหน้าแล้งมีระบบ AI อัจฉริยะคำนวณการผลิตและวิเคราะห์ความต้องการการใช้ไฟฟ้าในแต่ละวันเพื่อประสิทธิภาพในการบริหารจัดการทรัพยากรนำเทคโนโลยีบล็อกเชนที่พัฒนาโดยผู้ประกอบการไทยมาใช้ซื้อขายไฟฟ้าผ่านแพลตฟอร์มการซื้อขายคล้ายการซื้อขายหุ้นในตลาดหลักทรัพย์โดยใช้เงินดิจิทัลสกุลจีนีที่มีความปลอดภัยสูง GEMS ต้นแบบแห่งอนาคตการซื้อขายไฟฟ้าจากพลังงานสะอาดและสถานีบริการน้ำมันอัจฉริยะโดยบางจากสร้างประโยชน์สูงสุดแก่ทรัพยากรธรรมชาติด้วยนวัตกรรมนำความยั่งยืนให้โลก
Go down in small level, smart energy, and this is go down to smart station. The whole smart station become the, everything that we do, we have to do that is smartly, and then we add, the battery, which is the first biggest one in Thailand, the battery energy storage, lithium battery, and we test that, MNC and also LFP inside this station as well to be sure that we can do this in the multiple times in many gas stations that we do. So this is the learning lab that we create, and many universities come and test and work with that. Many people in government side want to see that if it can be done, yes, it can be done. We show that to the government on the energy side that we can do this. Energy trading, we can do that. The ESS on the solar and put on ESS, we can do that. It's not gonna break even very soon, but it's gonna be the starting point that people will look up that we need to do more, and then it's gonna be next level. The second example I want to show you that this is gonna be very short. We do the internal startup on the smart mobility. So because we want to make sure that in the future someone will disrupt us, and then that someone, we don't want to be somebody else. We want to be our employee, disrupt ourselves. So that we start with let's do that energy mobility, whatever we can do to see that we can disrupt our oil business. So this a part of the startup changing the motorcycle, normal motorcycle, we said that, okay, let's change that to electric motorcycle. And then part of the battery, not just the, charging battery, we change that to be part of swapping battery. Easy for them, easy for the motorcycle. And then we go to the heavy user. I believe that all of you may be part of that already, is the motorcycle taxi, what we call wind motorcycle, if you know that one. This part is the heavy user. They drive this 100 kilo per day, or maybe 150 kilometers per day. So let's see the video, what the startup internal that disrupt ourselves, what they do. Sorry, it's in Thai again.
ปักซอยค่ะ เร็วเลยนะ
ถึงแล้วครับ
เฮ้ย ถึงแล้วเหรอพี่
So, as we know that the battery right now are quite expensive and doesn't last very long.
Okay.
So we still need development. And what would
Right.
be needed to accelerate the development of this?
So we want to have the battery packing in Thailand. Cell may be difficult, the development of the battery cell. Probably the Chinese is the cheapest, right? But we bring the cell and then we make it the battery pack in Thailand. It's probably the price can be compete with the Chinese or maybe Europe right now. Then that battery size is cost around 30 to 40% of total cost of motorcycle or the whole EV. So to make it easy for everyone that can be on this ecosystem, we buy of those and then we give them as a service. They don't have to pay higher price. They pay only, right now is 3,000 baht per month. So 3,000 baht per month, they can get the whole battery swapping anytime that they want. We have the swapping, we have people to do. But we hope all of this gonna be, when we get more, we will get it cheaper, and the price point is gonna be cheaper after 2 years, 3 years, and when we reach 10,000 of them.
So Bangchak will swap to renewable energy.
This is
In the end.
electric. Yeah, this is
Electric.
renewable. This is electric, and then part of electric can be generated by all the renewable.
Yeah, and my question to you also, why in Thailand the electric car hasn't started yet?
All right. Number one is the price, because it is a higher price than the ICE price right now. Second is, I think is people have to see that charging station is not available everywhere. So people if I buy this, I will charge at home. People who charge at home, only people that have the single home, not the on the condominium. So it's very difficult for them. So we gonna have 60 charging station around Thailand. One is around 100 apart on the gas in the gas
This is
station.
in the planning.
It's already working with PEA to put this in the gas station, 60 of them around Thailand. So if you drive 100 kilo around Thailand, you will see this station with the charger, and not normal charger. Is going to be fast charge. You can fast charge 20 minutes from 20 to 80%. So that's part of infrastructure that we build, and we hope we're gonna build more in the city itself. So we're planning to do more than 100. So this is still in planning that we're gonna do more in gas station, and we think that in the future 10 years, part of gas station will have to be changed to electric. So we do by ourselves that change it first and then see it's coming.
So that's amazing. So let me move to Ms. Dina. So that's a question of the financial viability, because Amata has done a lot of things. And when it comes to sustainability investment, so can you share with us how sustainable city you return in economic terms? Do you have to charge extra to the tenant who live there, or what is the
our city
return?
we charge based on fair value based on the type of expectation, right? Because if we have that proximity to the airport, 30 minutes 40 minutes away from Bangkok, and then away from the golf course maybe 5 minutes, and that to many people, right, I would say that is actually paradise. You're not working in an estate, so people over there actually are looking younger. I work in the city, so I look older. So I always when we look into that area, we don't charge that extra. But for some of this project that we are working on, right, let's say for the plastic road example that I've highlighted earlier, we do see that there's some savings, but it's not a great saving yet because of the lack of economies of scale. So let's say if you use the full asphalt, right, for the road itself, maybe it costs you $100, but if you use the plastic or recycled plastic 10%, and then with the asphalt, the 90%, that maybe will give you some savings of about 5%. So if we were to look at the project structure on the IRR, I said normally if we were to approve any of the project, especially in our board level, it has to meet a certain hurdle rate, like say 15 to 20% or even higher, right? The minimum hurdle rate. But for some sustainability project, we know that it's good for the environment, and our founder always have the all-win philosophy. So we want to give back to the environment, and we have to actually take the lead to participate in some of this sustainability project in order to drive, our some of our factory, or to encourage them to adopt. So as the role of a city developer, we see ourselves as the custodian or guardian in order to encourage as a platform for all our key tenants. Can you imagine if we have 1,400 MNC clients in our estate, and we could take the lead and inspire them, for sustainability? I think that is the part whereby we have to manage about the financial versus the economic versus the cost. So this part we have been doing it in a rather conservative manner, in a sense, to try it out. But because of that, we have also been awarded by the Stock Exchange of Thailand twice already as the sustainable company, so sustainability award. So in short, right, is how do you manage the project? It still have to give you a certain IRR, and it shouldn't be overrun in terms of the cost, but at least the benefits will be more, than just a normal project. I think that is what we put the criteria for approving the project itself for sustainability.
Thank you. Now we come to the last question before we ask the question from the audience. Okay. Start with Dr. Pasakon. How do industry leader and government like yourself collaborate to reach sustainable and smart city goals?
I think we need to help each other to create the smart people and smart data. DIPA could be the hub for you. So if you want, to build the sustainable or the resilient cities, I think we need the collaboration, and you need to contact the local partners, and DIPA can help you to make that contact. Let me leave some message to you. We will have the Smart City Week during the October 16 to 22nd. So if you want to find a partner for the cities, and you can come to the Samyan Midtown on the 16th of October, next Friday in the afternoon. Dr. Non here, he will my contact. So if you need more information, you can contact him.
Thank you. Kusuat, please. How do industry leaders like you collaborate to reach sustainable and smart city goals?
Okay. We have worked with almost all government and all agencies. So let's for example, we work with PEA, Provincial Electrical Authority, which is part that cover the electric of the outside Bangkok, to create this 60 charging station, to make sure that now people can buy the electric EV car, and then they can go to the gas station, and then you can see that you can fill this electric in just 20 minutes. That is one. And we work with the government to build more on the new type of this is our core business. So we produce our core business, which is gas alcohol from ethanol and more on diesel. So we press them, we work with them that have to put more on ethanol, more on the diesel. So before is 5%. Now is, if you go to the gas station, is 20% ethanol, which is the E20. If you put that we work with the government that you have to go more and more on the green side, which is come from the agriculture, produced into ethanol and put into the oil together to reduce the fossil side. So that is work with the government all the way, and then we want to do more. Lastly, which is I told you that new business that we build is called bio-based business, which is the one that right now we do the ethanol from the agriculture. But we see that the future from this, we can create food, which is I think that you can hear from the U.S. side that they have the alternative protein. They can produce that from the plant-based. So we can do that as well. So we think that this is gonna be the future of almost everything that can produce by using the biomass that we have, which is that in Thailand we have a lot of agriculture biomass, and then we convert that into many things.
Thank you. And Ms. Lina, same question. How do industry leaders like yourself collaborate to reach sustainable and smart city goals?
I think very, very honored that Dr. Pasakon is with us today, because we work very closely with DIPA, and we have even a smart classroom in our Chonburi city, so that we can actually engage and train our tenants, right, or the workers, in terms of what are some of these smart city elements. I think that was launched during the ASEAN Smart City Network. The delegation actually came to visit our city. That is also working with DIPA. We also work with other government agencies such as the EECO office, which is the Eastern Economic Corridor office, with Dr. Kanit, to look into how we can promote to other investors or solution that it can bring in the smart solution into our city. And with IEAT, we also work on, we also sign an MOU in terms of waste, so that we can look into the feasibility of converting waste into energy. So I think in terms of development itself, even beyond Thailand, we have partnered with the Yokohama city, and that's where the Yokohama city, because they are the second largest in Japan, and they are also very well known to be a smart city. So there's a lot of learning from Yokohama city that they actually help us to do up the master plan right, for the second Yokohama city that we are going to bring in, for Thailand. And last but not least, I think that since Kun Suwat is next to me, right, I need to buy him some Japanese dinner or whatever, so that, Bang Chat, when you're looking at the back tree, right, I think Amata has plenty of land, I can pull out from my pocket, my colleague is over there. So we could look into some collaborative effort if we want to really look into the assembly or factory or certain things, right, we can work together in this manner. And that's why it's also our call for the private companies that are here, right? Feel free to use our city in terms of proof of concept. And definitely we have very good partner because Ibrahim looks very good and healthy, I think after maybe 1 year, the company already made a lot of money. So later you can have a chit chat with him, exchange his card to see how we can partner with other private companies to make it a more sustainable city, right? Because sustainable, I believe that you need to be profitable, right? In order for you to pay your employees well. Thank you.
So collaboration is the key, right? We need to have collaborate with others. We cannot just work alone, right?
Definitely.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, all three speakers. Now is the time for questions from the floor. So if you like to ask question, and you can specify any speaker you want, or you just, okay.
Thank you so much for your speeches. I'm from ABB. I'm representing the company. And I'm very happy that you mentioned about the collaboration with PEA, Pangchang, because we are the supplier of the fast chargers. So very, very good to see that, and very soon the project will start. So my question goes to Ms. Lena. In your Amata area, you ever thought about installing fast charger so to make your resident even more happier? Because this is where you can attract more customers. I mean, I'm going to come to Amata to charge my car because it's faster. So I think it's a very interesting business model. I already saw this solar panel application. This is another area you have huge roofs in your facilities. You can be a power plant by yourself. And I think the future is really to think about doing things like that. I believe it's going to help you to be even better than today.
Excellent question. You'll be in my invite list for dinner again, but VIP dinner invite list. So we have already tried out some proof of concept in terms of the EV charging by some other company like Delta, but definitely we would welcome, any good solution, any proposal for proof of concept so that we could come together. I think if we would come together and think about really, if you really want to do something, don't just start small. Start something that you feel that, Thailand can represent for ASEAN, right? And so that we can work and represent and provide the usage beyond Thailand. I think that is the natural strategic advantage of Thailand as one of the key hub for ASEAN. So if we could work together, I believe that there could be a lot of innovation, and definitely together with Deepa or Bangchat, we could think and brainstorm what else, besides the fast charge, what is the whole value chain. I believe in order to drive down the cost, right? I mean, the cost to be lower for adoption, right? Because we need mass adoption. The cost has to be low to entice people to go in. So we need that very huge uptake so that we can have economies of scale. And that's where I think we can provide the area itself for proof of concept or for working together. Definitely, I think we welcome this open proposal or solution that you are able to provide to us.
Thank you so much.
Any question from the floor?
Thank you very much. The speech and the discussion is very well and fruitful. My name is Ibrahim Kocagöz. I'm Technical Director from Sodexo. And of course, as Kun Lena mentioned, we are partner in Amata. My question is to Dr. Pasakon about smart cities. There must be a criteria for sure to evaluate all the smart city applications. Did you publish these criteria in your webpage? And also, second question about the same evaluation. There are some institutes like IEEE. They are having standards now for the smart cities. You can check. I mean, you can see if you want to apply. What are the minimum requirements? Are you planning to apply? I mean, to provide similar standards in Thailand?
the first one, you can check the website smartcitythailand.or.th. Smart City Thailand, the same word, smartcitythailand.or.th. Everything is in there, the template, everything. And for the activity or standardizations, I think maybe we have our own context of the smart cities. But okay, we can replicate some standard, but not everything. But because you know that it's quite different, the solution in Europe may not be applied here, so that we have to develop our own. But the Thailand standard may apply to Cambodia or Laos in ASEAN. That's why Dina mentioned that we can be the hub or springboard for this smart city solution here.
Okay. As we know that the smart technology is to solve the urban problem. So if we have a different urban problem, then we have different technology. Right? So in Thailand and in Europe, may have different problems, but we have some same problem like traffic, flooding, this kind of thing. So please.
Yep. Hi, my name is Jay. I run a logistics company in Thailand, and thank you for your speech again. Question is more just as a concerned, resident here in Thailand for the past 20 years. High sea levels are rising now, floodings are happening. I mean, are you planning, maybe for the BMA also, are you planning any strategy or plannings to, tackle this issue in terms of the floods? And obviously this is a rainy season, but okay, even if it's not, climate change is happening. So are you concerned, or any plans, to tackle this flooding issues? And maybe the sewage is also an issue because so many, condos are coming up, right? So yeah.
The Chief Resilient Officer should answer.
So, okay, that may be about the BMA, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration job. But our laws, I'm from the federal government, so we are the facilitators. We just want BMA to have a good plan. A good plan must have they have to know the good pain point of the residents. So that's why we encourage BMA. You have to study what is the pain points. Okay, the funding may be the pain point. Do they have to develop the plan, the infrastructure, and submit to the government, and we will give the budget to them. So we are the facilitators and let them guide by the local government.
Can I answer your question? Okay, so Bangkok is very large, right? And we have more than 10 million people. Flooding is one of the problems that we face, and actually the city has we call the water management plan. We are about 0 to 0.5 above mean sea level, which is very low. And we realize that we have sinking. The city is sinking, but in a very few rate. It used to be 10 centimeter a year. Now it's very little, as probably 0.5 centimeter a year, because we stopped taking underground water. And we realize that there is a sea level rise every year, about 0.3 centimeter a year from the study. So what we can do, unfortunately we are at city at the mouth of the Chao Phraya River, which has a catchment area of about 1/3 of Thailand. So this whole volume of water passed through Bangkok. Now it caused flooding from rising the water in the Chao Phraya River, the raining in the city, since we are flat and low. So what we can do is to have water management. We build dike along the Chao Phraya River to protect the water overflow from the river. We install several pumping stations, try to make sure that whenever there is a rain, we can pump the water to the canal and to the river. So this is the master plan of the city that we do. But we try to do it better. We try to go to the forecast. I think we need to forecast, then we can do better management. And we are also thinking about solving the problem by building a big dike in the sea to close the sea. Then we will get a very fresh water. But this is beyond the Bangkok. It's this government budget. Thank you. Any more questions? We still have time. One more. Okay.
Hello, thanks a lot for the speech. I am David Bourges, General Manager of Suez Circular Polymer Recycling Factory. This is a question for Ms. Lena. So in Amata, I see in the slides that 12% of the waste you collect go to recycling industry. And I would like to know first if you have the plan to increase the amount of waste sending to recycling industry. And second, if yes, how do you plan to make it? Thank you.
I think for the question of waste, what we are trying to do is also to look at the type of waste, right? Not that I'm a waste expert, but because being involved in the project made me realize that first, because I've also been to Sweden, Stockholm City, to visit in terms of the waste sorting and everything. The thing about the waste is you'd have to do the proper sorting, and then the collection, and then after that the final processing. Definitely our good start in terms of converting into RDF, that is one start. And furthermore is to look into if we can have substantial or enough waste, right? Very interesting, you know, to say we need to have enough waste in order to collect the right type of waste, enough waste, and then you can actually apply for the waste to energy. So my handsome colleague over here, Mr. Norapat, I think he graduated from the University of Manchester and Sustainability Technology. So we are focusing on the project to say first look at the type of waste, and then how from the waste whether we can also help beyond Amata. Let's say within the community, right, that is 10 kilometers away from Amata, all this municipal waste. Do we have some sharing program so that we can share with them to say, okay, this is the proper way that you can handle the waste, and then once they are able to do that, overall the environment is already improved. So we are actually constantly welcoming innovation, suggestion or ideas to improve the overall situation, because in terms of the waste or in terms of materials, it's either you reduce, reuse or recycle, right? 3R. So this is something that we are constantly pursuing, and we are talking to the authorities and also technology partners to make it happen.
Thank you. Okay, so we heard from Dr. Pasakon about the role of DEPA, Khun Suwat about what Bangchak has been doing and will do in the future, and Ms. Lina talked about the Amata. Now, before we end this, I want to give each of you 1 minute to say the last word to the floor. Start with it.
Okay, when we're talking about smart cities, a lot of terms of smart. Resilience is one of them, sustainability is one of them, liability is one of them. So it depends on the context of that cities. So we cannot make everything, we cannot do everything. So we have, it's like a tailor-made. We have to understand the requirements, the pain point of the local, so that then we can find the right position to do. So that's why it's our role of the government to understand and to share the correlate with the solution provider like you, maybe from the foreign companies, so we can matching you to the right pain point.
Right. For Bangchak, I hope that you're going to be our customer and our partner, and you will support us because we doing the better product. Not that, but we believe that we do sustainability for the future. We invest a little bit more. We do what we call double profit. So part of profit go back to our shareholder, but not all. Another part that we're gonna give back to the society, social and environmental, by doing more. Even some product like a glass, the cup of the coffee that we do, we use the biodegradable cup, 2 times or 3 times expensive, but it's better than the plastic. It's gonna stay for 400 years. This is 180 days. can be compostable, degradable, right? So that is pressed for us that we do, and then we're not gonna, if we want to sustain for the whole world, we all have to work together. If we want to do more, we have to support the company. I think many company of you already do some good. We have to support each other to do more on this. And I think with help of each other, we can do sustain for the world.
I will leave the floor with 4 Ps. Not that I think first of all we need to have that very positive mindset, right? If we are negative, I think nothing could happen, especially during COVID crisis. Cost cutting. Second P, I will say that you need to have the right policy, right? As business leader, if you don't have the right policy, I think Amata, we have day 1, we said we want 0 waste discharge. I think that is a very important policy. Second policy that we talk about all win, which means that we want everybody to win, our partners, our stakeholders, environment, the government. So the policies has to be set in place. Third P, I would very, very much like to emphasize is pragmatic. If you only have a plan and it's not pragmatic, right, that the quote says, right, a plan without execution is pure hallucination. I don't want to be in hallucination. So we want it to be pragmatic and practical, right? According to time, according to situation. And then the last and most important P that is very close to my heart is people-oriented. If you don't care about your people, they are not going to work for you, right? Even if they are working for you, they may not be the right mindset to service your client. So train your people well, treat them well, and then they will be able to really contribute as your biggest asset in the company. That's all.
Thank you very much. Please give a round. Big applause to our speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our panelists and our moderator. The session will take 20 minutes coffee break, and then we can be back again at 4. So see you. ค่ะโท welcome to the second track นะคะ of smart sustainable cities นะคะ now we're gonna have the topic of EV and solar a vehicle for green growth and may I introduce you to Kun Ingo our moderator for today
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me all right. And also, hello to everyone who's watching online. Welcome to the session on sustainable cities, the role of electric mobility and solar power. My name is Ingo Pool. I'm one of the founders of a company called Southpole. We are a climate finance company that is funding projects to accelerate the transition to the low-carbon society across different sectors. I'm very happy to have here with me Kun Tanat and David, who will join us on our little journey through Bangkok of tomorrow, and to show you what a smart and sustainable city could look like if it was powered by sustainable transport. So what I would like to do, I would like to start our journey. I will just imagine I'm at Taksim Bridge. I want to take the boat on the river to go to River City. And now I'm coming to the pier, and there's this boat that I've never seen before. And Tarat, what am I seeing? What am I getting on?
Hello, it's going to be the Thailand first electric boat. So I will show you about the video of how it's built first. So, hello. Okay. So this is the first electric boat. This is a video that how it was built. So this is the first prototype that we have registered as the first electric boat in Thailand.
Maybe you can narrate a little bit. So,
this is designed and built in our house together with the partner, and this was built in the Srutpakan province shipyard. So we decided we have a knowledge in terms of the battery and electric drive. So combined it with the electric ferries for the design has been launched since last September. Here you can see is the how it was built because it's fully electric drive, and it was built from aluminum, so it's lighter weight. And we have certified welder, and it was the best of class.
And the shipyard, what kind of boat do they normally build?
They expert in
yachts and all of that. I remember when I'm in a boat, the engines are very loud. Such a conversation with this is going to be very different as a stove. Yeah. So what is the experience? It's going to be faster and quieter than a normal ferry boat?
But it was the sound is very silent. So it changed. It take off the diesel engine and the generator away. So it was and we use also design the charging station as well. So this size of the charging station is going to be like 3 about 4 megawatts. This is quite huge, even if this is the real one, which is on the river right now.
Can everybody use it, or do you have to book it, or how does it work?
You just buy the ticket by just use your credit card. So I will explain more about the details. So please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Thanat Chivatanarak. I am the project leader of electric ferry project from Energy Absolute. Firstly, I'm so grateful that I have a chance to explain and share the business viewpoint and also sustainability viewpoint to you about this project. I will start with the background of EA or Energy Absolute. Energy Absolute always aim to be a leader in the energy sector. We would like to put our state-of-art technology into our final product. So we do a lot of business. We can segment into 5 industries right now. First one is we started with the palm oil base or palm oil plant, and then later on we do a business in the renewable energy. We have solar farm and we have wind farm. Totally we have like 660 megawatts in Thailand, and we have a huge change in terms of the business because we acquired the Taiwanese battery manufacturer. We use his know-how and build. Hello. Okay, better, right? We use that know-how from the Taiwanese battery manufacturer to build gigawatt our factory in Thailand. So the province is in the Chachengsao province. And later on, we utilize the know-how from the battery together with the electric drive. We do a lot of business in terms of electric mobilities. For example, EV car, the product brands combine, and we have electric bus already. And finally, we come with and we launched the electric ferry. So I will explain why we do this business because of our CEO, Mr. Sampot Akunai. He saw the huge gaps between the rail against the river mass transit. You can see the picture that the left side is the current express road right now compared to the MRT station. We have you can see a lot of, because the passenger have to face with the pollution directly. Secondly, they have to face with the uncertainty waiter because it's open air. And finally, the service and facility is far behind compared to the MRT of Bangkok. So we think that we can do it better because we know we have technology in terms of the battery and we have know-how. So we study and we launched the project called it My Smart Ferries. So My Smart Ferry is catamaran type, and we have fully drive by electricity, and we fully equipped it with the air condition. So it's going to be like 4 systems, and we have GPS. We have a CCTV security for along the route that we provide the services. So we also do the ticket with the price that very competitive compared to the current operators. So this is the huge change. For the technical part of these vessels, we bring totally like 760 kilowatt hour of battery. For explain to you easily, it's compared to 26 EV car. battery put inside to the vessel, just only one vessel right now. So we have registered as the first electric ferry in Thailand. So we can do the speed reach to 15 knots. So it's capable for this speed in Chapaya River. Well, I'll show you the inside or interior inside the ferry itself. So we provide the similar space, similar to our mass transit, like some MRT or the train. So we have sufficient and a lot of space for the passenger. Sorry. I will explain you about the fleet of this vessel. We have 27 catamaran type ferries, which will be operated in this December for the 6 vessels. And then 27 will be launched within April 2021. And we can do the rush hour. We can do to reach 5 to 15 minutes interval, and it takes you from the first to the last stops about 60 minutes. So yeah, we think that it would be a huge change in Chapaya River, that the passenger, 40,000 passengers will be received and experience a better services and better facilities. So I would like you to wait for a while. In 2 months, you will see a huge change due to this project.
Wow, thank you very much. So perfect, and I think it's a good bet, this project. So even if we can't stop climate change, and if Bangkok goes underwater, we at least can still get around, then on Sukhumvit on the ferry as well. Hopefully that won't happen though. But I mean, I agree. So I'm sitting there. It feels like I'm on the MRT. It's quiet, it's electric as the MRT. But of course, the river, is such a nice way of traveling and seeing Bangkok at the same time. So I am traveling, and I'm getting off at Sipraya station. And now I come to River City. Next slide, please. And I'm surprised to see River City, that it's like wonderfully and green. Why? David, to you. Tell us about River City.
So I come to this project. Do we have the slides? Okay. I'll just ask you to push the slides on if you can. Next. So I come to this project not from a technology perspective, but from a community perspective. I have a couple of roles that I've been in this area, particular part of Bangkok, for 6 years. So you'll know that the Chao Phraya River is a major destination, and one of my jobs is working with businesses that are located along the river, the hotels and places like River City, to promote the destination for tourism and leisure. And there are a number of things happening. Another project that I'm involved in is the Creative District. So the Creative District is a community activity that has seen the energising of this area around TCDC and old businesses. Some of them have been there for 120 years, chicken shops and that sort of thing, through to new businesses and organisations like TCDC. So this is the area that we are talking about, just so that you can be located for the discussion today. It's the oldest part, one of the oldest parts of Bangkok. In fact, this was where the commerce started. So it's kind of nice that the start of commerce, the first commercial port, the first road, the first hotel, the Oriental Hotel, the first cinema, the Prince Cinema, there are a lot of firsts in this area. This old part of Bangkok, it was the European quarter, it was where the ambassadors settled, it's where the traders, a gateway between Thailand and Asia and Europe, starting in the mid-1800s. More recently, of course, you'll know that there's been this energy in the area. Alongside the people that have grown up there, lived in the area for generations, are people that are moving to the area to follow their dreams and to start new businesses and to reinvent themselves. Absolutely at the moment. I mean, if COVID has done anything, it's really shown Thai creativity and ingenuity and commerce of coming back and finding new ways to live in a city. So you'll know Bangkok Design Week attracts a couple of 100,000 people to the area. People are coming to see the small galleries, the small businesses, to walk around the old streets, to take photographs, and to meet the locals. And it's from this perspective that I come to this project. My colleague Paul and I were involved with Earth Day out of Washington, and through that came a collaboration called Blue Green Thailand. Blue Green Thailand is currently about 70 individuals and organisations that are looking to improve the environmental health of Thailand. One of the members of the group is Kun Yosapon from Sharma, and he has done a master plan for greening the creative district. And that includes a green corridor that runs from Holampong Station to River City. And that is where you'll be able to walk in comfort with greenery and other activities along the way. But there's a whole master plan here about improving the livability of this area. Also in the Blue Green Thailand group was Ingo. I met Ingo. And Ingo has a very exciting project for e-mobility. And it was seeing these things come together. And I think if we've learned anything in recent times, we know that you can't accomplish anything on your own. Collaboration is important. Finding people with shared interest is the only way that we will move forward, particularly in tough times. So I was intrigued that in this particular area where the green corridor between Holampong meets the river at River City, there was another partner with the potential to join the group, and that was River City itself. And management seeing a huge responsibility as well as an opportunity to green and produce energy and new forms of business in this area. And so coming together as a group, we now have a project where a solar farm will be built on the roof of River City. It will power a percentage of River City, but it will also generate clean energy for Sci-Fi Garage that will be in the car park, which will be e-mobility station for battery swap. We've been working with wind bike riders in the area to encourage wind bike riders, find a pathway for wind bikes to use electric vehicles. We're in discussion with the electric vehicle group about electric tuk-tuks. And then when you link up the work that Energy Absolute is doing on river mobility, and particularly my hotel partners are very interested in that, you start to have an ecosystem that is cleaner, greener, and better for everyone.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And so I am now I'm getting off at River City. I enjoy the green scenery. I hop onto a wind bike that happens to be electric. That takes me to the Holampong BTS station along that wonderful green corridor, and it does feel like a different Bangkok for me as a traveler. I would like to just also say what is the role of my company South Pole in this electric mobility project that David mentioned. We have created a program, it's called the SHIFT program, which is using carbon finance. This is basically money from companies, in this case governments, that want to reduce their carbon footprint through cooperation. So in this case, we have a cooperation with the Swiss government that is putting in substantial money to allow us to put in the early money on the creation of charging stations and an electric mobility infrastructure for two-wheelers with swappable batteries, to reduce the commercial hurdles to start this. It's kind of like the critical mass, like the seed financing for electric mobility transformation. The first pilot will be in an area of about 30 square kilometers in central Bangkok. The key partners are the windbike drivers and also the major delivery organizations that will then work together with their drivers to get them onto electric motorbikes. And it's an open partnership kind of approach. Now that we're working with everyone who has an interest to do this. Like, as you said, we cannot do this alone. There's a contact email there for everyone interested. I want to use the precious little time that we have to open the floor for questions, if there are any. While you are thinking, maybe I can ask the first question. I think I would like to maybe address this question to David first. It's like, why is it important, for a city, for Bangkok, to say we want to be smart and sustainable? Like, why would that be important for a city to do that? Now, I'm asking this question from the perspective of, this is a very nice project. Our ambition should be to make this city-wide, like to replicate to other areas. So why is that important? How can we get this done?
First of all, you can see from the area of Bangkok, this is a very small part of Bangkok. It's not even one district. So why put this energy and effort into a small project? I'm a great believer in proving something can be done. And to prove it can be done often means being small. Government will have large-scale plans that will be implemented over 20, 30 years, but we don't have the luxury of that time. So my personal view is to start small, plant a tree, do a wee park, put a solar plant on a roof. If you can get people to participate, it gives you the ability to say to others, it can be done. And it can be done by large scale government, and it can be done by communities. So I think any form of demonstration is important.
And maybe then the next question to you, and please raise your hand whenever you want to jump in with your own question. It's like, for this project, what did it take to put this together, I like the idea that it's private sector driven. How important was it also to work with the government? Do we need government to do this? What is the role of government versus what is the role of the private sector to make Bangkok beautiful?
Okay, thank you for the question. I will explain it this way. We launched this project since February 2019. From now on, it's just 1 and some 10 months, I guess. Less than 10 months, 8 months. So it's so fast, it's so very tight schedule because of we work closely with the government. It's a private sector, work closely with the government. In this time I mentioned 2 parts, which is Marine Department and the Electricity Authority as well. We work really closely, and we have a same direction. We have and we do it for real. And in the first day, we present the concept, we send the project to the government, and they don't believe us, and we try to show that we do for real, and they respond very fast, and we do it together. This is a really good example between the government and the private sector. If we can work together closely, we can achieve the really tight target and the schedule as well.
Actually, that's very interesting. Though you said that for the government to believe you, they had to be convinced that you really meant it, that you were committed.
Exactly.
Actually, just to comment on that in relation to our project, we made the same experience. We also went to the governments who said we would like to do this, and they wanted to know, do you have partners in the private sector who are committed? And the moment they feel, I think, that this is the case, they're actually very willing to move something forward. So that was actually a positive experience. David, you want to comment as well?
Yeah, I think it's so impressive that you've done that in that time available. I mean, it must have taken leadership, determination just to make this change and commitment to it. I'm interested to know why were they so committed to the project? Was it, investment return, or was it the environment, or a combination?
I explain about the business view first. The business view is fine. We believe the passenger per day in Chapaya River is 40,000, and we can do it make profitable because of the technology. We change from the combustion engine to battery and motor, so it reduces the OPEX like 40% per kilometer, and we put that OPEX that we reduce to compensate with the expensive capex that we spend for the battery. So it's luckily that EA has the technology and know-how, and we do it for real. So this is two parts that the business view is make profitable and eco-friendly can be happen together.
Do you think that your project solved a problem that the government previously owned?
Definitely, yes, definitely. Because to be honest, we discussed with the delivery department many times. They would like to change the current or existing operator in the river, but it's hard for them to change. So we come up with this the solution with the technology. So it disrupt the combustion boat. So this is the reason that I think it can make it happen.
Yeah. David?
When are you doing the buses?
We are doing now. We're doing the buses. I'm not sure that. I believe for myself it will be happen. In this year, December as well. Okay. Now the bus authority had just launched the term reference about the electric bus, about 2,000 electric bus in Bangkok. So in next year, I think there will be a huge change in terms of the buses in Bangkok and the boat in the river in the Bangkok as well. Please wait and see. Something happen.
Okay, now we have questions from the floor. I would like to recognize the microphones over here. Yes, please.
Okay. Hi, my name is Daniel. I have a question for Kuntanu as well. So you built this boat now, and now you're also operating the boat. How do you see your role as EA in the future? Will you become a ferry operator and then a bus operator, or will you be selling the ferries to other operators, or where is your role compared to everybody else in the ecosystem now?
Okay, thank you for questions. Very interesting. For EA, we established another company, and we have a partner for operating the ferry as an express boat. So we have R&D and shipbuilder, and we sales to the express operator. So this is the way that we do for the ferries. But in the bus, it's subject to the authority. For example, the authority hold the ownership, but they pay for like the fare for per kilometer. So it is subject to the authority as well.
Kind of following on to that point. So why when I think of EV public transportation around the world, it's always buses first. So it's very strange that Thailand is first. So I'm wondering, like, why was it that the ferry was easier than the buses in Thailand specifically? And especially when there's almost a charm to the boats in Thailand, where no one likes the buses in Thailand. So.
Okay, thank you for question. It's hard to answer because it has been proven for the buses, electric buses. It has been proven in many countries, as you can see. But it's it's subject to like the government because previously concession of the authority in transportation is just changed recently because if you follow up can I talk in Thai ขสมก has changed the policy they just changed so it takes time to change for the state-owned company so that's why in Thailand buses it has been laid back compared to the other countries but in the river the weak point is the number of passengers in Bangkok is less compared to the buses. So and it spend a lot of money in terms of the capex, but luckily that EA own the battery factory, so we have a less capex in terms of the battery cell and battery module. So we have a lesser cost, so we can make it happen.
Also, I think, just my add, I think the economics for boats is actually perfect. In a bus, you have to use some of the energy of the battery to move around a battery. In a boat, you don't have that problem. You need the battery just to weigh down the boat enough. So if I were kind of like the planner, I would start with boats, and then I would go to the buses, and then I would go to the e-bikes, actually, and then I would go to the cars. And of course, make public transport as attractive as possible to actually get people out of their cars. So that's my point of view. Wait, one more question over here.
Sure. My name is Smith. I'd like to understand more on the power storage. The battery always is a key part of this EV, and I don't know whether misconception or not, like the battery that out of use will be like kind of pollution. Is there any progress done on like recycle the battery or creating, otherwise you have to throw in like the lithium away or you throw the nickel away. So what type of thing has been done in the industry for the power storage?
So technical questions. Okay, I will say it this way. The battery we use right now is the lithium-ion battery, which is using for the EV because it needs to be fast charge and also to discharge very fast. And the way that we are thinking about that, about the recycle of battery right now. So we joined together with the Chulalongkorn universities to studying with the battery, how to be dispose the battery. And it is our plan of EA to build the recycled battery. The second point, the battery of lithium-ion battery of the EV, we need a high performance, but it takes time. For example, like 3,500 cycles to degrade itself. So it takes like 5 years, but after 5 years, 3,500, that means change from 100 to 80%. So you still have 80% of energy to make it to reuse it. So after we reach to the bottom line, for example, 80% we can use for another application. For the whole life cycle of battery, it would take more than 10 years. I will explain it this way. So in short term, we can use for another applications, but in long term, we study from the disposal way in Thailand as well. So we're studying with MOU with Chulalongkorn universities about it.
Also, if you look at some of the countries that have been in the e-mobility business for longer, like Norway or Netherlands, basically it's an 8-year-old industry, and now you get the first battery recycling place. So it's like you start with it, and then once you have a critical mass of batteries that need recycling, then the industry will come. And I think now state of the art is about 90% recycling rates for the batteries at the end of their second life. The first life is in e-mobility, second life is in storage. I maybe just have one last question. You have now the mobility business, you have the solar business. Like when you roll out your bus fleets, or even with the boats, do you have plans to use actually the solar energy to also charge your buses and your boats? I know for the e-mobility, for the motorbikes, we're already doing that because it's easy, the batteries are very small. So you have like a much bigger animal that you need to charge.
You mean use solar to charge directly to Okay.
Directly or through, through the grid?
Actually, it's your configuration of the power sources is not feasible actually. But I would say in this way, if we can do it from solar to the battery, but you need to key part to solve it. For example, like if the bottlenecking of using EV right now is the charging time. So if you would like to reduce it, you have to have capability of battery cell that can charge with a shorter time. For example, we call it 1C or 3C. 3C means you charge just 20 minutes to make it a full cycle, but you need 3 times of the power. So if you would have to charge with the solar, it has a very big footprint of the battery storage or the big layout of the battery storage. So I think it's possible, but it cannot be the main source. It can be the option because we need the power from the MEA or EGAT as the main source, but it's possible.
When will you go beyond Bangkok? That is, so we start in Bangkok, but it would be nice for the provinces as well. No? Bangkok is only just a very small part of Thailand.
Exactly, that's a very good question. We do not like close our business in Bangkok. We are open. We deal with a lot of country, a lot of another province about this point. But Bangkok is the heart of Thailand right now. If we can make it in Bangkok, it will show to another cases in another district. I believe that EV is the step change in terms of the mass transit or the change of e-mobility in Thailand. But we would like to trigger first in Bangkok, and then it's gonna be like spread away in another district. Yeah, this is my belief.
I have another question for you. Okay. When I sit at home and watch TV, Australian government talking about transition from dirty fuel to clean fuel, it's always the same story. Oh, it takes time, there's investment, and others will say, but if you start clean energy, the share price will grow. You've made this transition very fast. How's your share price?
You mean the price of the
company?
Oh, okay. I would say this way. We produce the electricity from the natural gases as a main source. But right now, efficiency of the power in the cable just 30% because they have to operate at the peak of the engine. So the price right now you said is cheap. It's not really cheap because you have to operate the combustion engine to reach to the max level to serve the peak of the consumption. But the average consumption is just 30%. Right now, EV can plug in this level because we use the surplus between the peak and the normal operation. Right now, that's why it's like EV come to the picture that we are better to utilize the energy of the whole country. I would say in this way. So the price will be not much different in terms of right now because we feel the gap of the surplus. But whenever the battery storage come to the optimum point, we can have different configuration of the power sources because you don't need to produce the power plant at the peak level or optimum level. You can be the energy storage can be the support that to serve the peak during some short period. I would say in this way.
And maybe though that was a good last question, I would like to provide some information, though I just looked up the share price. So since we started the conversation, it looks like the price for Energy Absolute went up by like 2%. So that was, and with that, on that positive, upbeat note, I would like to thank you for coming. No, thanks for joining our panel. I think we are going now into the next break. Again, thanks very much.
Thank you for moderator and our panelists today, Naka. So we will start the next session soon. We will arrange a little bit. Thank you.
From the rainy season, right? And actually the way, on the way you commute into the city of Bangkok. So I'm a landscape architect. Any one of you know what I'm doing? Like what? Oh, actually, okay, yes. But what about the landscape architect? What you think about the profession is doing? Green space. Okay. Yes. Actually, we have the one that productive and the one with the big trees only 0.88%. So among the 6% per capita, we actually most of them are like those elephant cutting and many other things. So I think many people misunderstand our profession as a gardener. And when you think about gardener, it's like, yeah, you want something pretty, you want something visual. And many government projects will say, we'll ask the budget and ask the funding to do the landscaping. And they got a lot of money. But what we got is not a landscape that good for the environment. We just got this like decorative plant and things. So I'm actually have my TED Talk. You guys can check it out. I went to the TED Woman in the US. I think I'm the first Thai woman to be on the TED stage. I mean like TED, like in the US. I was surprised as I was invited as a keynote at the UN climate change. And it's called NAP, National Adaptation Plan. So UN will give all these developing country probably like 1 million US or 30 million baht to do some planning about adaptation. So I was talking in front of all the government sector, and I was just like, why me, right? Why the government sector would like to listen to the landscape architect? So I present, everything was done, was fun. And then I just realized that many developing countries actually talking about climate change correctly with all the research, with all the paperwork. and they tried to get this funding from the UN. But actually what they proposed from the green funding, which is a huge money, is actually this kind of solution. So they talk correct, but the solution was totally wrong. It's the same in many countries in this region, Southeast Asia, that we turn natural river canal into the sewage system. We pave the city, we think it's very engineering way. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's some engineer here, but we only think about the concrete solution. And as you can see from living in my hometown, that, yes. So actually, I think become kind of like exposed to many other talks and international press because of in 2050, which is how many years from now? Like 30 years, I think all of us still survive. This is what Bangkok right now, and this is probably what sea level is coming in the New York Times expectation research. So it's made me questioning what would it matter if I am doing such a great architecture and the whole city is sinking, or is what we are doing right now is actually meaningless if the whole city is gone, right? So it's actually not happened in my city. It's actually happened in many Delta city. When I'm talking about city, it's not like the whole New York, but some part of New York are flooded, or some part of Tokyo, like Sumida city, is actually below sea level. So all this problem is actually happened in New Orleans, Tokyo, Shanghai, New York, London, many big city, you can name it, because we're in the Delta area, which is great for shipping and commuting and many other things. I was invited into many like women initiative, and the president of Spain, the vice president of EU. Last year I was named as 15 women leading fight against climate change. I was very honored, I was very glad as one of women from Southeast Asia was on the list with many other women around the world. I was named as a top 100 people next. Well, we will be influenced in the future. And this year with Bloomberg Green. And last semester I taught at Harvard GSD. So I brought all of my students who came to Thailand to study about our canal and the problem of climate change. Yes. So this is what our Bangkok looked like 100 years ago. And you can see how fast we grow. And we're just masking up with only this 15 years or 50 years of development. Crazy. Where can the water go? We actually 3 water city. We got the huge water from the north. We got the water from the sea, and we got rain. So if you're thinking about Netherlands and many other cities that dealing with water, every country have its own unique pattern. Many people say, yeah, why don't you like copy Netherlands solution? Some of the research try to build the dam to close the Gulf of Thailand. But no, the big problem of the flooding is actually coming from the north. And it's not about sea level rising. So I think we have to be very mindful what government project is leading us to. And the ecology of our city is completely different. We have fish, we have wetland, we're not just having the cold sea like a North Sea. So it's actually, this is the source of food. And if we do something wrong, it's actually going to destroy our own life. This is how flat we are, and we're actually in somewhere here, and the sea is not so far. And this probably no need the explanation. Everyone experiences this every day right now. So I'm actually making this park as the message that I want to convey as a landscape architect. to the opportunity I got to design this park right after this, like my first project in Thailand, and I think I fought really hard to make this happen in Bangkok, which is like become the first park in 30 years in central Bangkok that have another park. 30 years ago, we just have new park, and this is the newest one. I'm talking about, okay, with the COVID, maybe the population was reduced for the tourists, but we're talking about 15 to 20 million population city. So this is, so this is what, so this is only 1 minute. So this is what World Economic Forum feature this park. So we're coming at the age of flooded city. So what can this park do? And people only probably expecting for the recreation purpose. But I think the problem of the city or many other cities that we don't have enough place for water because we dump our many canals. We pave a lot. No one think about runoff. All this building, even this building, right? All the rain that coming into this footprint will actually go into the street. And how could it be possible that we not flood? So if we brave enough to have a law about runoff, that every building need to think about or store the rainwater like we used to live in the Thai old days that we have a big jar like I think some of this runoff problem will actually help. So yes. So this is not only just climate change, right? It's also about the profession of architecture in Thailand. It's actually got so many awards internationally from many countries, German, America, and it's actually got a big green roof. So I think I delete one slide, but the whole park is inclined, so you actually can collect every drops of rain, and you have rainwater tank underneath your architecture. The runoff will be clean through the wetland, and it's actually double its size when it's flood. So actually the park designed to flood, and when it's rain, it's actually collect its own water. So this is the park, and people can just come and do exercise and be part of this water system and questioning like why today the water is this level, why the other days the water is different levels. So turning the whole experience of urban ecology into a human experience with just incline the park because we are so flat as a city. And you can see this is like normal day. This is like 6 hours of raining. This is normal stage. This is probably 6 hours of rain. So I think it's very crucial to educate people, not just using what this design to serve what human needs. I think it's actually at the end of the time that we should ask what actually environmental needs, and if it inclined to collect the rainman, it's also inclined to for the new activities. This is the music in the park. Normally do it in Sonlum, right? But this is the first time that people, and they love this park because it's inclined. You don't need to like, where is, I don't see the stage. So this is the first inclined park in Bangkok. Yes, with many, okay. So it's got really, and I was so surprised. Mr. Antonio Guterres came to Thailand and just dropped by my park and just like, can you walk me the park? Like the #1 UN, the world figure talking about climate change, came to give the support to a local design woman in Bangkok, which, thank you. This is another project just opened right before COVID. This is at Thammasat University. It's finished. You guys can go and see. It's actually a huge building, but it's the biggest urban farming rooftop in Asia, the second and the third largest in the world. Wondering if I didn't be part of the design team in the beginning. I think what the university will get will be another institution building as usual, like huge one. Maybe look with some Thai decoration. But with this, we just like, yeah, let's do something different. Let's create the solution that normal building with the wet space of the rooftop concrete that create us more urban heat island that add up the PM 2.5 problem because there's no air and the heat kept in the city and PM 2.5 is just keeping our lungs. So be ready in March. We will have to like confront that again. So actually just normal architecture left concrete rooftop do us harm. So we just turn this into a source of food, not even just screen, but food, things that you can eat, things that can be productive. And this is my idea, it's actually coming from Thai rice paddy, which I think is how our ancestor farmer dealing with the mountain, how they slow down the runoff and actually growing food from that. Okay, I'm actually running out of time. So this is actually slow down 20 times of the runoff. We have for storage to collect the water, pump it up with the solar roof, and then just drain it down, and you get food. I mean like clean food, no pesticides. Thailand exports pesticides from US top 5 in the world. So actually what we are eating is actually paraquat, glyphosate, and I don't know the other names, but it's actually create you guys as cancer. And Thai government banned 2 already, but they're still waiting for the other one. I don't know why, but actually it's very important to teach new generation that this is not okay. This is how you should grow your own food with the public space. And this is actually Lanscape, where the rice field should be located, but right now it's our city. So we actually try to reclaim with the waste space. It's actually got like the first project of the year with many renowned architects of the world, like Zaha Hadid, like Beijing International Airport that just opened. So I feel very honored because I'm not an architect in the profession, but I'm a landscape architect. But I think we make buildings more relevant to the climate solution. Okay, this is, anyone has been to this? Not yet? Oh my gosh. Thank you. It's a first bridge park across the river in the world. Don't laugh. It's true because in London, they plan to do the Garden Bridge, but it's not feasible. In New York, it's still not feasible. But in Bangkok, how could that happen? Because I definitely have to give big credit to the mayor, the BMA, and big credit to GDDC, who initiated this project, and I'm part of the physical design. So this is 40 years ago, a failed government project left unused for 40 years, hidden in the city. I'm probably like 1 year old and not even make sense myself, so I don't really know about this structure. But we, the UDC have to like a public hearing, and right now this is what it's look like. It's the first bridge for feet, like for people, and it's only 8 meters wide and 280, so we actually have to design very creatively to make the room out of the narrowest. So you can got like amphitheater for the sunset and the sunrise, the most beautiful angle of river. We are the city of river, but none of us can access river easily, correct? We have to go to Shangri-La, Oriental, or go to some informal settlement to actually feel the public space of our river. So this is another, happen every Saturday, please visit. Please go after 4, it's so hot. Yes, so I think there's how many opportunities with the waste space in the government hospital, creating the healing roof that we're using the waste from their hospital. Urban farming as healing process, and this is so important, especially during this pandemic, that this staff should be taken care of. And I think If you go to the Thai government hospital, it's crazy. So I'm actually, how many more time do I have? 4 minutes? Okay, so I'm talking a lot about climate solution with clients that have budget, like government, university, and things. But I want to talk about my client who have no money, like low-income housing. Those people who live along the canal, those people who live on the floodplain, those people who live on the coast area, and those people who live, yeah, I got one more project. So this is Khong Rat Phao, which is like the worst place in Bangkok during the Great Flood in 2011. And we actually went there and tried to help them negotiate with the government, not to displace them, but to have them back in the right way of living. And these people, they have no choice. When Bangkok flood, we can choose to go to Phuket, to Pattaya, and spend our days there. But these people, they only have one home, which is also illegal, like they don't have paper. So I think with this, we as a landscape architect and architect, with Cody, we actually try to help them. And it's been successful, so this is the first demolish. And right now is their home, and we also integrate public space, the correct one that they should have, rather than going back into the informal settlement setting. And we save them, we find a private sector budget to support them to keep the soul of the community, like existing trees, and bring along the new generation of designer from Thailand, from Harvard, to really talk more about these people, this group of most vulnerable people from the climate impact. This is in Khon Kaen, it's called Ban Pai. The government developing this the train, the light rail, and they are actually gonna go through all these provinces. But these people, they try to use the money from 400,000 ล้าน. I don't know, like the government give the money to the COVID, and this like huge budget that the local government can pitch for the money. So they pitch for dams. They thought it's gonna help them. But when we have chance to talk to them, and this is like hundreds of them, hundreds of provinces, we only have chance to do one. But we say, this is what you're gonna get from 450 million baht. This is how your life gonna change. Do you really want it? And it's gonna destroy the livelihood. It's actually not gonna save anyone from flooding, because the same amount of water is actually gonna flood the lower people. And the worst one is Ubon Ratchathani, right? Because they're at the end of the river. So when it's flood, it's actually not flood from the river. It's actually going to flood in the dam. Serious, this is happened not only in Bangkok. It's actually going to happen all around my country and many other cities in Southeast Asia. And I think we somewhat have to help stopping this and thinking this is the right solution. This is another, how many minutes do I have? Q&A, okay. Yes, this is most narrowest part, the community at the Cambodia border. There are fishermen that have no paper right to even stay as a Thai people in the country. And they have so much problem with sea level rise. This is all illegal. But we actually help them to negotiate with the government to build more wetland, mangrove, and you can stay legally. So it's still in process, but I think this is the only way, because if you expel this community, that means you're gonna expel 7,000 more of fishermen villages in Thailand, because they have no right as like paperwork. Thank you. Yes.
So yes, anyone has any question, please raise your hand. I'll go with you with the microphone. It's heavy, huh? No, I think we just have to change the way we think about our city.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Ibrahim Kujugöz. I'm Technical Director from Sodexo. The presentation was perfect.
Thank
We learned
you.
lots of things from you. I have got two questions, very quick one. First one is about the rainy season and the dry season. Dry season there is no rain at all, and rainy season is flooding everywhere. And for the landscape, for the irrigation, what's the solution? Because during the dry season, it's not easy to find the water, and even most of the dams, they are below the expected level. And
Yes.
second question, I mean, what's the solution? Of course, I'm just asking from your perspective. Second question is, of course, there are some discussions about moving the city, Bangkok, to another location. What's
Yes.
your opinion?
Okay, can I have your question as well? So,
My question is just, why do you think our obsession is to put concrete over everything? 'Cause
Okay.
it's not only in Bangkok, it's in every city. Is it just because the engineers are designing it and they want the
Yes.
water out as fast, or do you think there's some other reason?
okay. Yes, thank you. I think it's all of them are great questions. I think as climate change all around the world, especially in my city, I would say it's going to be extremely wet and extremely dry. There's nothing that you can we are living in a Buddhist term, uncertainty, like even more. So I just feel that we built so much dam to collect water, and I think it's a problem. That would be a great solution like 50 years ago, like every country, developing country built dams, right? But right now the problem is we don't have any more settlement. That means our delta is shrinking. So I just feel that we actually have to create a city that help natural regenerate itself. So I don't have exactly answer, but I just feel that when you have enough water, you have to restore it. Like what the king say, monkey sheep, the king Rama 9, they to find a place, like don't build in the place that you can't build. And if you say that, probably the whole city of Bangkok is actually not a place to build. It's the worst place to build a city. So I think we have to reclaim back the canal. We have to create more public green space, not just for recreation for human, but to create more monkey chic and to use it when it's drowned. Yes. And back to the very basic human behavior, save how you use your water. Yes. I think that's very key. And do I agree with changing the capital? What if I said there will be only one Bangkok, no matter what? So I think we will thrive and survive via an amphibious culture. We will go back to boat and we will survive. I don't know. It's not about just Bangkok being dry because this is a delta city. You have to understand that flooding is part of how the land was created. So I think it's not about flood. It's about our attitude, how we can live with water, how we can live with uncertainty. I don't think I would move if Bangkok moved, but I would try to survive how my ancestors used to live, like with water. Yes. Did I answer your questions? The concrete. Okay, yes. I would have to ask back, like why we can only think about. It's simple. It's easy. It's like how you deal with fear. Before we think flood is part of our life, but when we have a city 50 years later, we think flooding is our enemy, like natural disaster. And when you think that's enemy, you be protective, right? You don't want to touch it, you don't want to get wet. And I think when you defensive, the solution is so defensive. Dams, concrete, and many other things. But if we live like the way people live in the old days, it's flexible, right? And we are dealing with something moving, and we kind of just fix them. I think that's very mind-shifting. I don't blame engineer, but of course people trust that their solution would help the city, but we can see that is not do anything good for us right now. That's why the whole presentation is back to like, oh, I get it. Like people are, the UN want to shift the solution to the natural-based solution, the city that helps natural regenerate itself rather than control, right? Right now we control our natural process. We're gonna lose, yes.
Yes, so I think we come to the last question, Kun Ingo, and then we go
I
to
think I have
CEO
the perfect
panel.
last question. If you were the mayor of Bangkok, what would be the first thing in the office that you would do?
Oh my gosh, I'm a landscape architect, so I will plant more trees. I will reclaim canals, I will plant more trees, and of course, would put people in the transportation, but through canal, right? I think we actually developed our city in the wrong direction 100 years ago, that we hire the planner from America who based the city on the car. And I think that's such a wrong. We should hire someone from Netherlands or someone who use canal. Oh, hi, yes. Some landscape that mimic our land. I think yes. So I think I would go for natural solution back to the city. Thank you.
Yes, so we will tear down the room and we go to the Great Hall again with the CEO panel.